Hello everyone, Ted Clayton here. In this video, I'm going to be sharing how I was fired due to Heightism. Now, admittedly, this title is clickbait in a sense. So for that, I do apologize. However, not entirely clickbait that is, because Heightism in this specific case does play a integral role, and I will go so far as to say it tips the scales in this scenario. Now, I want to break this apart into two different subjects. One is actual incident in regards to Heightism, and then the second one is in regards to the actual separation. Now, a couple other points I just need to leave with a bit of a premise. So, first is I want to share in that fashion. It's possible that I can just share the incident, but it will give more weight to the scenario if I share the actual separation. And then, secondly, is what I want to do is do this video as stream of consciousness. That way, what I'm saying is coming off of memory. It would be best if I had notes, and normally I try to do that just so I can just follow along whatever points I want to make. But for this, I again stream of consciousness. Imagine me just running into someone in the street and just sharing with them what I had gone through. Just a random person, just I don't know, an old friend or something like that, and I was just giving them an update, and I just decided to share with them what had happened. Maybe that's just the way the conversation went, but I decided to share with them what happened. I want to do it like that, just kind of off script, but also I want to keep it as concise as possible, just so there is that air of professionalism. I never know who's watching these videos. It could be HR from the actual company. And one could say that doesn't matter at this point in time. There is that may not be the case, but also just in terms of what I put out there in the world. I just want to always make sure is always above par. So that's it. Okay, so first is the separation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a calendar that's going to help me, and I think it'll help everyone follow along. There is a couple of dates to remember, but I don't think it's going to be that difficult to, again, follow along and follow the timelines. Okay, so all this starts on February 1st. We're going to use that as a marker. As in a nutshell, this is all surrounding the mandate requirements here for employees here in New York City. Another premise, another prequel, is that I'm in a public space, so I just want to be mindful of what I say, my wording. Right now, it's 5 o'clock. Everything's winding down, but there are still people here. I am in New York City, in Times Square, so I just want to be mindful of what I say. This is a soundproof phone booth, but one can still hear artifacts. So just so I don't get any unnecessary attention. So that's that. And of course, these are some unpopular topics, so I don't want to, again, just garner any unnecessary attention. All right, so this all starts on February 1st. And again, at the heart of this is the mandate requirement for employees here in New York City. I had requested an accommodation, a religious accommodation, and was approved. Now, I'm not going to get into that right now. It's quite a bit, and there is a lot that I would like to share because I thought it was interesting. The whole process was interesting. Yes, what it takes, but also, how to prepare for it and things like that, but also what that means in regards to this current scenario and just looking at the big picture of society and everything. So that's that, and that's a pretty heavy conversation. But what I will say is my approach to it was I wanted to make my submission, I wanted to set it up where there's not much that HR, or in this case, disabilities, the disabilities department, which I didn't know, they handle all these things, medical, religious accommodations, as well as disabilities. So that was some insight. And just to put it out there for those that may not know, for those that haven't been following my black pill videos, that have been sharing just bits and pieces of where I work and things like that. I'm not going to share the company, but I work in a warehouse, and I'm an associate there. So that's just to give just some background. And let's see. So I just wanted to set it up just in a way, in that manner. I was approved. No one had reached out to me, didn't ask for any clarification, documentation, nothing like that. So it went through pretty smoothly. What I had decided, so okay, let's go back to the calendar. Now, again, I didn't forget, February 1st, we're going to have that as a marker, but we're going to just step back a bit, or rather, we're just going to keep that as a footnote. Where this really kicks off is, where this comes into play is, as far as the separation is concerned, is February 7th. Now, that's a Monday. On that week, as a stipulation of my accommodation, I needed to submit weekly negative COVID test results. Okay, so once again, the week of February 7th, that's when that had officially was underway. That's when that officially started. Now, a couple of days before, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct on this, on February 4th, that Friday, just a couple of days before, I had reached out to the disabilities department, HR, but this is corporate HR, but the disabilities department, to cancel my accommodation. Now, I'm not going to get into that. That's a lot to get into. That's what I was saying. There's a lot to get into, a lot of minutiae in regards to the accommodation, legalese, and also where this plays into a societal point of view, and probably even a philosophical or a theistic point of view. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I decided to change my mind right then and there, and that was after about a month of having been approved of this accommodation. Now, what I was told when I called was that it was going to take up to a week to process. I didn't know this. When I first submitted my accommodation and was approved, was not privy to this. And I want to say a week before the 4th, Friday, February 4th, I had called, not even want to say, I did call about a week before to ask about something else, and made it a point to also ask about if I wanted to cancel the accommodation. All I was told was, and I'm not taking any indirect shots at anyone. If so, I would share any criticism. This is just black and white facts. What I was told was, just call. Again, this is a week before, calling about something else. Just call, and that'll be that. We'll take care of it from there. So I'm not thinking anything, and I'm asking, is there anything I need to be prepared for, need to submit, anything like that? No, just call in. When I call, I was told the process would take up to a week. I want to say the representative told me exactly 6 days. All right. So this kind of threw me off, because I was hoping that once I called, it'll be finalized right then and there. Okay, but it wasn't. Immediately afterwards, I had reached out to HR at my site. Shared with them, again, just kept everything brief, shared with them that I had just spoken with the disabilities department that I wanted to cancel my accommodation. I just had to wait for the process to be finalized. And what I said was that I did not have negative COVID test results to present. Now, as we know, this can be an issue when it comes to any sites that are requiring, well, that have passports, but that are requiring, sites that are requiring proof of vaccination. And here in New York City, I'll give you a brief scenario, just to put this in perspective. Something that, again, I mean, for one, anyone who's just tuning into this, who's just following, who's just seeing me for the first time, and I don't think I've shared this in any of my other videos, but to give a little context, at least to where my head was at and how I was looking at this, right? Again, I just canceled. And I'm sort of, and I'm just waiting, right? I remember at a gym here in downtown, lower Manhattan, financial district, is a gym that I go to. I have good rapport with the staff there. I think it's new staff now with all the changes. It's been a while. And again, because of the requirements, the mandate requirements, I was going to gym elsewhere. I won't even get into that. But in this specific place, I had a good rapport with the people that have been going there for almost 5 years. And I remember that day, as soon as everything changed, I had went like the following day. I was just trying to be slick, see if I can go and do one last day or something like that, or if no one was going to check. And again, like I said, I have good rapport with these people, so they just let me know flat, straight up, can't let you go. But I remember, and I asked, okay, is it all right if I use the restroom? Because I did have a long walk. I came from a long walk and I had a little more to go. So I just asked, can I use the restroom real quick just to use it, relieve myself and just wash my hands? And the next thing that the individual said was, if you go in without having verified your vaccination, we'd have to call the cops. We have to call the police. And again, this person told me this very respectfully, very calmly. It wasn't, no one was excited or anything like that. It was just matter of factly. So again, that's just to give some perspective on the scenario. So again, I reached out right after, on that Friday, the 4th, I reached out to the disabilities, HR, corporate. I reached out to them, asked for, requested to cancel, was told it would take up to a week. Right, I would say probably no more than an hour. I reached out to HR at my site and just let them know that. They didn't respond back. That's not, again, a slight at them or any implication. And at this site, I've been there, and I know it's a lot that I'm going into. It's just, believe me, this is the abridged version. So they didn't reach out back to me again, but I do have a good rapport with this person, so I didn't take that as they were ignoring me or anything like that, as it's kind of common with certain superiors. But I have rapport, so again, with the way I wrote it, I wrote my email very short, like 3 sentences, which just, this was going on, and no test results to present, and that's that. They didn't respond back, so I'm just issuing correspondence. Okay, so the week of the 7th comes. The week of the 7th goes. Now, I'm going to add this little bit of information. So all this has to do with, and forgive me, I am still working on my storytelling here. All this, yes, it was about the vaccination, but now in regards to now breaking it down further, this had to do with absenteeism. Okay, so the week of the 7th comes and goes. Now, it looked like the gods were on my side because I have a 4-day work week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On that Sunday and Wednesday, we were offered time off, and I was approved for both days. So it was only really those 2 days that were a concern. Okay. But again, it does kind of seem like the gods are on my side to have just those 2 days. I mean, normally we're scheduled for 40 hours, and actually let me clarify that just a little more. We know we're given allotted 40 hours, but normally works out to about 30. But the time off was issued in advance, so it wasn't while on the site or even a day or two before. This was for that Sunday. Yeah, that was the day before, and then for that Wednesday was like, I want to say it was maybe that Monday or Tuesday, but anyway, it was in advance, so it wasn't while on the site. Okay. The week comes and goes. Now we're heading into Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day, I'm there. Then the next day is the 14th and 15th. Now, if you're following along with the calendar, there is the 13th. We're going to skip that for the moment. So the 14th, I'm at the site. And then 15th and 16th, we were offered again time off. I was approved. However, I'm in the red in regards to my attendance balance, right? Okay, so as we can expect, someone's, as we can probably deduce, someone's going to reach out to us. So HR reaches out to us. When I responded back, and I didn't forget about the 13th. I didn't respond. Excuse me. I only responded back. It was a complete lapse. I only responded back to the 15th and 16th. In the email, it does ask specifically what happened with the 15th and 16th. The time off wasn't updated, so that's why HR was alerted and someone reached out to me. The 13th, that's when I got my vaccination. Now, in regards to, let me just back up, because I know it's kind of a lot going on here, and I don't want to get this, I don't want to put too much information out there that's unnecessary. So, when I reached out, it was only for the 15th and 16th. It was just a lapse where I only answered for those days, and that's it. I already had reached out to HR at my site, so I could have just shared that information. I have all the documentation needed for everything, for the whole incident, for the whole situation, but I just simply forgot. It was just a lapse, and I do kind of feel it was strange because I didn't answer the question fully. I didn't respond fully. I only responded to the 15th and 16th. When the person replied, they could have asked, well, what about the rest of your balance? But the question was framed as the 15th and 16th, and then the negative balance. So I answered the 15th and 16th, but didn't answer for the negative balance. So they just kind of left that, they kind of just left me hanging, I guess you would say. And I felt like they could have asked me, but the next email I get, which I was surprised I got another email, was, we're going to let you go. So, okay, that's that. Now, in regards to, actually, with, the 13th, and we're going to address that because that's, we're going to get to that. That now, yes, I got my vaccination that day, but that kind of plays more into the second part of this whole situation. So, right now, I am in the middle of an appeal. I'm appealing this separation, this termination. I'm actually feeling positive about this. I think it will go in my direction, my way, in my favor. I say that mostly because, one, I have all the information at my disposal, but the first thing I did was reach out to HR, lay down everything, and they were the ones who actually brought up. Well, let me not say brought up, but they they brought up again, appealing the separation, the termination. The first thing I did was I called corporate over the phone. It's like this weird, in this company, it's this weird hierarchy of command. So I reach out to corporate over the phone first. They tell me, well, I just let them know the situation just as I'm sharing with you. They respond back saying, well, I'm looking at your case and there doesn't seem to be an option to appeal. So I said, okay, I'll leave it at that. And then just like when I was speaking to the disabilities department on the 4th, once they told me it'll take a week, I just kind of left it at that, kept it simple. If anything, I'll reach out back to them, but just keeping things short and sweet. After that phone call, I reached out. I don't know if it was that same day or a couple of days afterwards. No, it was like a week afterwards. That's when all this, when I was let go, it was a week afterwards. So I reached out to, because again, HR didn't respond to me immediately, they didn't respond to me right back. They didn't respond to me at all. It wasn't until I was let go. Then I reached out to them after that phone call, laid everything out. And then, again, they already had a little bit of an idea what was going on because of the email, so they already knew what I was talking about. And then they brought up an appeal again. And I said, well, I just reached out to HR over the phone, and they said that they had mentioned, after I laid out everything, then they mentioned the option of appeal. They asked me, did you try to appeal? And then that's when I told them, HR over the phone told me that that the option wasn't available over the phone, that normally there would be the option, but they don't see it. So then they said, okay, give me a moment, and then they put it into effect. So that made me feel confident, or that made me feel positive about the whole thing. That made me feel good about the whole thing, because now it's, well, if I pass this basically checkpoint, then I'm in the clear. Someone reached out to me from corporate, laid down the same thing. That phone call was a little bit nerve-wracking, and not to say a slight on the person, but I just felt like the person was kind of, I don't know, like they weren't really being receptive. They were just like really quiet on the phone. So I guess just they didn't want to hear any BS. But you're not gonna get that from me. So the next thing they said was, well, we'll reach out to you. That was on, I'm looking at my calendar, that was Wednesday the 9th. They said over the phone, after I had submitted for an appeals, they had said, okay, well, we'll reach out to you over email. And then, let's see, now I'm losing this track of this timeline. No, that was not the 9th, I'm sorry. That was, because all this kicked off on Thursday the 17th, so that was Wednesday the 23rd. That's when I had gotten a phone call from HR, and again, that was the appeals program. They said, okay, we'll reach out to you in a couple of days and let you know what's going on. I didn't get any correspondence until a week later. And then what the email told me was my case had been transferred to the accommodations department. So again, I'm feeling good, because this sounds like whatever I shared with HR, that checked out. So it sounds like another checkpoint has just been passed. And it more sounds like what I shared just needs to be corroborated with the disabilities department. Yeah, or whatever, I guess. Or yeah, what I said has to check out with them. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. And again, everything was all laid out. So it's probably just to kind of go through some, if they just want to ask some questions or anything like that, any concerns they have. But everything I laid it out just so there's not really that much to really dig into. I just laid everything out as much as possible. Okay, so that's that. Let's see where I'm at now. So, all right, that's that part of the process, and we're in the middle of that right now. Don't know what that's going to result in, but again, I'm feeling positive. I actually just called today again. So, well, not again. When I got the email on the 2nd, March 2nd, oh, let's see what happened. Oh, when I got the email March 2nd, the email said that someone from the disabilities department would reach out by Thursday, the 3rd. No one reached out. 3rd came and went. Friday came and went. Monday came and went. And I called this morning, and they told me that someone just saw my case over the weekend. So if I don't hear anything by the end of the week, to reach out back to disabilities. Okay, so now all that's laid out. We're still waiting on a decision, but I mean, you guys tell me. I'm feeling good about the appeal. Of course, just keeping our fingers crossed. But all in all, all the information is out there. I have any information to validate or corroborate my situation. So that's that. Okay, so that's that. We're just waiting on that. So that's what caused the actual separation. Now, at the crux of this is the negative balance. Okay. Now, this is where the Heightism thing comes into play. If it was just the week of the 7th that I had to be concerned about, which is technically only 2 days, then that wouldn't have been so bad. But there were a couple more days that need to be accounted for. Now, let me, again, for all the technicalities, let me just break that down first. Again, just so we can be in the clear. On the 2nd, and I'm going to explain why, on the 2nd, and this is now more informal. So again, I just wanted to break down the separation. This is now the more informal part of the conversation. And again, but we don't know who's listening, so I'm going to break down the facts. On the 2nd, I'm still looking at March. Forgive me. The same thing. On the 2nd, and remember, the incident at the marker that I had set up was February 1st. Okay, so on the 2nd, I didn't report to work. On the 13th, didn't report to work. Now, I did have some time that I could use between that day, this February 2nd and 13th. There was still this still left me in a negative balance, but only in the single digits. And in between that time working, I had accumulated more hours, so that negative balance was still in the single digits. So I was using my personal time and vacation time just as it was only an hour here, 2 hours there, and I used all that up because I felt I needed it. So that's what I'm going to get to. Okay. So again, only as far as the negative balance, removing the week of the 7th where I didn't have negative COVID tests to present, the negative balance was only in the single digits. So hopefully that bit of information doesn't get to HR. But also, again, like I said, between that day, those 2 days, having worked, and then the difference, it was still just it was only in the single digits. So I made up for it, then took out, reported off another day. So again, only in the single digits. All right. The 1st, February 1st, I had it was an episode with, I want to say that they're an assistant manager at this site. I'm not exactly sure, but I know for sure that they are I work in a warehouse. Again, I think, I don't know if I mentioned this video is already going to the half-hour mark, but I think I did mention that I work in a warehouse. If I forgot, please forgive me. This individual is the inbound manager, but I want to say they're also the assistant manager. If not, then they play the role of that, just in seeing how they operate and their relationship to everyone else. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Some people cannot be a leader in title, but de facto leaders. Okay, so let's just say that this gentleman is the assistant manager at the site. This gentleman explodes. Pause, just to put that out there. I work overnight. We're approaching, and this is technically our Friday. Again, for people that have been, I'm sorry, excuse me, that was not our Friday. That was my Friday. This is the day before our Friday. So, but it was a long day. We were already approaching. It was actually a day that was very slow. Not slow as far as production. The time was moving slow, so it was really difficult. I definitely was difficult on me, and I would say that was difficult on everyone else. It was just one of those days, and everyone was just trying to just get through the day. And also, I remember that day being relatively quiet, so that's another thing that was pretty strange about it. Not in every way, just everyone was just beat. So we're just waiting to get to the last stretch, and we were almost there. And this whole thing happened, I want to say, a half hour before it was time to go. And again, you got to think of the environments. I don't know. I don't know how big this place is. It's relatively big. It's in I don't even want to say the place, but it's in Brooklyn. I would say it's a medium-sized factory. I would say relative to other ones. What I was getting, I think I just lost my train of thought. But we were approaching the end of the day. Everything was relatively smooth. Shoot, I feel like I was going to say something. But yeah, so, everything is super calm. Everyone's just trying to get through the day. And this guy just explodes. So, okay, this is what happens. There's 3 main zones in this warehouse. So I'm in this one zone that this gentleman normally works out of. His office is also just right next to this zone. I had to finish up some stuff. Not too much. Again, not too much left on the clock. And I was really hungry. And I normally don't eat a lot at the job anyway. But for some reason, I was just really hungry. So I had some protein bars in my book bag in the locker room. So I wanted to go get that, just grab it, eat it quickly. I'm talking about just eat the whole thing in 10 seconds and then just get back on the site. Eat it and go, eat it as I'm walking. So I wanted to do that and just finish up because I was really feeling depleted. Again, like I said, it was a really difficult day for everyone. So, I was like, oh man, if I could just get this protein bar, I'll be set. So I get my cart and it has boxes of product on it that I have to process. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to take this cart, just zip over to the lockers, and then come right back. Now, disclaimer, everybody does this. All right, so we're going to just leave it at that. We're not going to get into please let's not get into let's not make this if everyone jumped off a cliff. It's not even that. There's practical reasons for this. And if I were to, I think you guys may see where I'm going with this, but again, I don't want to name the company, but I think you guys may see where I'm going with this. So, okay. Everyone does this. I take the cart. I only have just a handful of. It's a small cart, so I only have a couple things there. And I didn't want to, have it. I didn't want to have a heavy cart. I just wanted to, again, I was just zipping it. I just wanted to zip to the lock and come back. When I'm going out, I pass by that gentleman and then another associate who I just started to get to know. They were another level up than me, but pretty much associates nonetheless, pretty much on the same level. So I pass by them. I keep going further, about 2 or 3 yards, and then I hear my name being shouted. I really just hear noise. I turn around, and it's the manager, the assistant manager. Just to keep it simple, I'm gonna say assistant manager. He's shouting at me. He's shouting, "Hey, Ted, what are you doing? What are you doing?" And there's also the other associate. They're saying the same thing. But they're laughing. The assistant manager is a little more serious. Now, the way this gentleman came across to me, I was in shock. It was just the energy transference, just the sentiment that I felt. it felt like a fire had just gone off. By the way he was shouting at me. So I'm feeling, I'm feeling tense, and I'm in shock, and I turn around, but then I'm hearing them shout my name, and so then they ask, the gentleman asked, and he's very concerned. His whole mannerism just changed. He asked, "Where you going?" And I say, "I'm just gonna get a quick snack, just a protein bar. I was gonna go to the locker and come back." And, he's asking, "What are you doing?" Just gonna get a quick snack and come back, just so I can wrap this up. That's it. Now I'm shocked because again, everyone does this. Been doing it for a long time, so it just kind of threw me off. And the guy tells me, "You can't leave. You can't take that product to the locker room." Now, the way this locker room is set up, well, it's not in a locker room, it's in a common area. So I go to the lockers. Excuse me for that. So I go to, they tell me that I can't go to the common area, to the lockers, because with product. Now I'm confused, but I start to kind of see where this is going. It would look like theft. So I'm trying to recollect this, so just bear with me. I'm again in shock. So I asked them, to repeat themselves. I'd asked, "Wait, are we talking about the common area right next to this and that room? Are we talking about that area?" I'm in my mind, I was actually thinking this person's talking about somewhere totally different that I've never been to before. Like there's an actual locker room that I've just never heard of before. Heard of before. And that was actually what I was thinking in my mind. And again, like I'm in shock because it feels like the sentiment is like a fire had broken out. So I'd asked them, "Are we talking about the same place?" And again, also it's pretty late, so middle of the night. Our shift ends at 4:30, so we're tired. So I'm just asking, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah, no, you can't do it." But the demeanor of this person just changes. They're really shaken up by this. Let me just. This is now we're on low power mode. Just bear with me there, okay? And we're still recording. Great. So I say, okay. Again, I'm thrown off. And the gentlemen, again, they go back. They reiterate, "You can't go there because it's going to look like theft." So again, I ask again, are we talking about the same place? Now this person, because again, everyone's doing this. I've been doing it for a long time, so it's like this disconnect in my brain that's going on right now because it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to make an example. Let's say someone decides to eat, I don't know, in front of the building or something like that, and everyone eats in front of the building. Then one day, randomly, after like 6 months, and everyone knows everyone eats in front of the building. When someone in management, it starts to it is now concerned or is just explodes, and is reprimanding. I would say even to an extent scolding you. So, forgive me, I lost my train of thought. So let me just continue from there. Now this gentleman is getting upset because he's feeling like he's repeating himself. So now this is where the conversation starts to take a different direction because now you can start to see this guy getting upset. And the thing is, just as I said, I'm so confused. I'm just confused because again, it's something that was so common. I had to ask. I had to make sure we was on the same page. So what I kept reiterating, and I find this this happens with a lot of, when communicating with a lot of people, you would understand the point, but then people will ask you to repeat, or you have to repeat certain details, but the main point you kind of already understand. So, but they just keep repeating the point, not the details. So I understood the implication, but my thing was, wait a minute, are we talking about the same place? And I was just so thrown off. And once again, the way this gentleman came at me was shouting. It's like a fire went off. So then now they're visibly upset, thinking that I'm basically playing mind games with them, that I'm making them repeat themselves. Okay. Now, where this escalates is I have a cart. I left my cart just a couple of feet behind me because I just stopped and just walked over to these two gentlemen. The other guy, this is a black guy, he just left. And actually, I'm going to name the nationality of the gentleman in a moment. So the gentleman, this is where it was really kind of, I was uncomfortable. The gentleman keeps saying, he keeps asking me to put the stuff back, but it felt like more of a demand. So that's where it was kind of crossing the line for me. And where it now kind of crossed the threshold was when they gestured and said, do you want me to do it for you? Right there, that was kind of, a game changer. So I kind of saw where this conversation was going. We were going in circles about them repeating themselves. Now, frustrated, this gentleman decides to get a partner of his, another manager, and it was this woman. Shares the story, and basically she was sort of like a mediator. That right there pissed me off. I didn't even care, and this person I actually got along with. So, but now it's like, now I'm looking like a troublemaker, but, that's whatever. I just didn't like that this gentleman had asked for really anyone else but a woman's perspective. And let me stop right there for a second. That's going to be too nuanced. Okay, so here's where this whole thing, all that to say, here's where this whole thing, how I saw this whole thing. This gentleman is Asian. Now, the Asian narrative is that Asians are very nice, very polite, even docile people. Now, anybody who's familiar with Asians, I've dated a few Asian women in my life over the years, and just knowing from people from school or whatever, that narrative is not necessarily correct, not totally accurate. So now here's where that comes into play. Oh, there was also a part where I thought the guy cursed at me, and then I said, "Did you just say X, Y, and Z?" And they said, I remember their answer was, I don't talk like that. And it was just kind of strange to me. But the whole thing about this, really, and this is all this going into height, the whole thing with all this is perception, but more so, if anybody follows personality disorders, is the concept of object inconstancy, where someone will engage with you. I want to say has rapport with you, or I'm going to use a better word, but someone knows you. Something comes up, and now you're a villain. Now you're the worst person you are. You are a criminal. And it's like this 180 split. So that's how I felt in that scenario. Because for me, I'm thinking it's getting a little hot in this room, so I know that means it's time for me to wrap this video up. For me, I've been working there about 3 months, and I actually was I would talk to this person, or I felt like I had some rapport with this person. I was always asking for assignments, questions, and all that. So they didn't feel like anything weird. So that's why I was kind of thrown off. So it's that thing of perception, an incident, and now you are in a different category. So that's where it's a little shocking for me. Now, of course, right then and there, I'm just being very level-headed. I'm just sticking to the facts, and that's it. Now, of course, when I leave, when I step out the building, I'm just cursing, I'm like throwing stuff and all that, but right then and there, of course not. Okay, so and that's why I'm talking about perception and narrative. Who's more likely to look like the bad guy in that situation? When we're talking about narrative. Now I think some people know where I'm going with this. So the next day, I said, you know what? And I was shell shocked. And I know that feeling when I go through something stressful psychologically, when I have shell shock, which it happens, but it's far and in between. My body was tensed up. I said, I don't want to go. Don't want to go. So I didn't go on. Let me pull up my calendar again. I didn't report to work to the site on the 2nd. Again, I'm not even gonna break that down, but had some hours. I had 2 hours of personal time. I don't remember specifically, but I had like 2 hours of personal time, 1 hour of or another 2 hours of vacation time. I just used that. I didn't even save it. I just like, that's it. Yeah, that's fine. And again, working, the difference that made up, still in the negative balance, but made up. And then the 13th, it was the same thing. I was still, even at that point, I didn't want to go back. So, at that day, that's when I got my vaccination too. So that was that. Okay. So, and I'm being mindful of my balance. Yes, we can say there's still the week of the 7th, but I'm thinking to myself, well, let's look at this as if the week of the 7th, that negative balance is going to be excused. So again, we have all the documentation available, what have you. So I'm thinking if that's excused, I'm still in the single digits. All right. Let's see, where was that? So I say, you know what? Can't do this. Didn't go. And the main thing I was thinking of, yes, I was uncomfortable, but the main thing that I was thinking of was narrative. I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to be the bad guy, more so than I am. I'm going to look downright evil. I'm going to be Mr. Sinister, like in Marvel. I need to lay low. That's what I thought. It's the smartest thing to do. If I can, I'm going to lay. And as a matter of fact, I even thought to myself, because this company, they don't really, I hope this doesn't get me in trouble. I'm just going to say this. In regards to negative balance with being absent, they don't really make a big deal until it gets into 3, 4, 5 days. So one day wouldn't have been such a big difference as long as it's made up right, immediately afterwards. Normally, the company doesn't make a big deal of that. So I'm thinking, I can't do it. Like I could, but I had some days, some hours. So I said it's not really a full day. It's more like half a day that I'm requesting off. So I can't do it. So that was that. And the same thing for the 13th. Again, we have a whole week that elapsed. So I'm thinking, this is a pretty powerful narrative. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. It's going to be impossible. I need to lay low. So that was that. And then that coupled along with the stipulation, the conditions, the week of the 7th, that just added to the negative balance. So, that's why we ended up where we're at right now. And again, it was just something where it was just a complete lapse, an honest mistake on my behalf. When I responded back right after Valentine's Day, excuse me, I had all the documentation ready, but I just only answered for those 2 days. So like I was saying, I think the way it looked like was all I had to answer for was the 15th and 16th. I think that's probably how the person took it. I still feel like HR could have reached out and asked, hey, what about the rest of the balance? But that's neither here nor there. So that's that. And I will say that when I returned the 14th, after all that, and it did help, and I still was shaken up, even after a whole week, and that's pretty much almost 2 weeks, but a whole work week. I still was a little shaken up, but more prepared. And, we do need to talk about these things because, let me just go off on a little bit of a tangent, but one thing I've seen, I try to keep up with all these conversations and discussions that the academics have. And one thing I'm noticing is that this disconnect among the academics when it comes to low-skilled work. Yes, there are incidences where people don't want to work these jobs simply because it's low-skilled, it sucks, it doesn't pay a lot of money, and it's boring, and that's that. And there's really no chance for advancement. I mean, that's also kind of getting a little more nuanced, but that's the thing there too. But really, what people are not getting at is, and I'm thinking of a conversation. I don't remember what it was specifically. Matter of fact, I don't even want to. I want to say it was Reason TV, but I'm not sure where the conversation was at. If I can remember, I'll put the link in the description. But I remember this debate between two academics, and one gentleman was arguing. Well, one academic was arguing people don't just don't want to work hard. And I think the person was being sincere. I don't think it was looking down on the lower class, but they were just saying they don't want to work hard. They think cleaning floors and things like that, cleaning toilets and packing up boxes, that's beneath them. And the other gentleman said, well, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the work. I think it's the environment. I think these people work in toxic environments, and even that simple work, they can't even do that effectively. So that's, where I'm really getting at with this whole conversation, something we need to talk about, which probably won't. So you just got to do what you got to do, and hopefully, in hindsight, someone will figure it out, or maybe not, and you live to see another day, or you just share these videos, and that's that. We just live on a different spectrum, So that's where perception becomes. I'm losing my train of thought again, so I'm going to wrap this up. That's where perception, and if anyone's still watching this, 10% definitely going to wrap this up. If anyone's still watching this, I know this video is going on pretty long. Thank you so much for still listening. When it comes to perception, that's where these things can really be an issue. Oh, so when I went back the 14th, it was like nothing happened. And I felt that person's presence. I think they had it in their mind that something happened, there was a thing. But you know how when there's a thing between you and someone, and you definitely want to put it behind you, they may as well, maybe. And when you see the person again, it truly does feel like nothing happened. Nothing had ever happened. Maybe not feel, but I think you guys see where I'm going with this. It doesn't feel like there's like a weight that either of you are carrying. So, and the way that started was, I mean, me being confrontational. I mean, if I had to say so, or if I had to label myself as one, but because that's also a good thing too. And in this case, it was, I needed an assignment. I needed some clarification, and I just went right up to the gentleman. It wasn't a thing of, I don't want to talk to this guy. Yeah, it's moments like that, but moments, not, I don't want to associate with this person or speak with them, engage with them at all. If it's like that in the workplace, for me, it's as least as possible, not at all. But for that, yeah, we'll test the waters. Go right up to them. Hey, how's it going? Good evening. What's the plan? That was it. And the person was like, oh man, can you do this section real quick? We just got this thing. Can you do that? Yeah. Cool. All right. So that was that. But again, it's that perception. And then one thing that I didn't share was when this whole thing happened, and I'm going to wrap this up with this, very important part to this story. When this happened, this was in front of a lot of people. Not tons of people, but enough people. This was like sort of in kind of like not a common area, but like this kind of junction in the work site. So there's this junction, but then there's this long hallway, and then that's another entrance to that zone I was in, and where the gentleman's office is at. That's where all this happened. But through that long hallway, you can see enough, and you can hear a lot. You can hear enough. So again, there was an audience there, and then there's still the manager who had to mediate. And the reason why I say I didn't like that is because Since I opened up this can, I'll say this much. In regards to the dynamics between men and women, I'm saying a lot here, but I already kind of put my foot in my mouth, so I'm just gonna have to go all the way. There's a complaint, not a complaint, but a problem that women have, and that's that they feel that they have to clean up the mess that men make. And I felt like that in that moment where I'm the troublemaker. Now this woman has to come and try to be peacemaker when it's, hey man, just send it. Well, I heard what you said. I just needed to clarify that part. Now, please don't, demand, like order me around, boss me around. I didn't say that, but again, it was just more of, I heard you the first time. I got it. You don't need to, waste your energy and repeat yourself. You don't need to waste your breath. I got that part. I just need a clarification on this. So, that's that. And it also was a black woman. So, not to say that there's no implications between Asians and blacks, but just between men and women, it's, a woman being a mediator. And again, I'm seen as the short man, as the troublemaker. I shared some stories, and there's more that I haven't shared. So, there's that. So, that was that. So that just kind of pissed me off. But, that's behind us now. But also, we're still not sure entirely. It's behind me, at least. Maybe not us, because I don't know if I'm going to be going back or not. Hopefully. But, or maybe that's better. So people can see it. But I'm hopeful, just given the circumstance. You guys share me your thoughts. Anyway, this is approaching an hour. No one's probably going to watch this. Hopefully someone does, but it was a lot to share, and I tried to wrap it up as quickly as I could. I hope people will at least acknowledge, me just talking super fast, but I just have to throw all this out there. So, yeah, that's that. Again, perception. Perception is a big deal. And with a situation like this, even when things did turn around in my favor, at least, with the gentleman, it still was me, that waiting period, which is just unnecessary. And it's just, more work, more of a burden. No one else has to provide proof of burden, just the short man. So, now I lose hours. Now, and again, with the narrative, let's say, even if that probably already stuck in some people's heads, or at least it's a thing, but let's say that this gentleman now was against me. Oh, it would have been over. I would have never won. I would have had to move. I would have had to move to a different site. So that's that. And not only because they're management, but because they're a nice Asian man. So that's that. So that's that. Again, if you're still listening, thank you so much. I know it's a long video. No other way to wrap that up. That's as short as I can make it, as concise as I can make it. It's just a lot to put it to share. Let me know your thoughts, questions, or whatever. But again, that's how it goes. That's the stuff that the short man has to deal with. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun sometimes. It's challenging, but sometimes it's exhausting. I'll say that. Me just have gone through this for so long. Yeah, it's fun sometimes, but sometimes it's just too much. I was racking up hours. I was getting, I was starting to. I had a nice paycheck coming in that week, then the following week, and what have you. And it's just I had to lay low. What would you have done? Let me know. What would you have done? But anyway, not only has the 20% and the 10% pop-up came up, we're at 4% battery on the phone. I'm looking at it right now, so I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, I think that's everything. And it's 6 o'clock on the dot. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day.